Hey, how's it going there, folks? Welcome back here to a Wednesday. It is the Earthmaster here, March 27th, 2024, about 11:54 a.m. here, California time. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe looks like a 3.1 around the Puerto Rico area. Also, still seeing some movement out here across the west coast. Of course, we did have some decent activity out here in the Gorda Ridges last night. Late last night here, we've seen a 5.7 and a couple other moderate earthquakes out here. Now, the importance of this is the location, with the concern being the Cascadia subduction zone. Over here, we got the Gorda Ridges. This is kind of a spreading seafloor center. See the new land out here being created throughout time. This is a divergent boundary, and when we see activity out here, obviously it means that there's some upswelling going on beneath the region. Here's a little simple layout of this area. Notice the lines here. This is just another segment there across the area. Two lines separating there, indicating some mantle upwelling. Of course, when that occurs, we're looking at further pressure out here across the Juan de Fuca, and this is the plate that subducts underneath the North American plate here. And that is, of course, the Cascadia subduction zone that sits right here, the Cascadia megathrust area that extends from Northern California right here all the way up right around the Queen Charlotte Sound area. But kind of focusing more on the southern end right now, we did see a little bit of activity following this event directly over here on the Cascadia subduction zone. That was about 1 o'clock this morning. So a couple hours following this divergent boundary activity, we're already seeing some strain build up here across the Cascadia. Not a big earthquake, but a 2.1 at 5 kilometers deep at a surface level here, or at least in the oceanic crust surface level. So we're seeing some uptick already. Also, we did see some movement down here in Northern California this morning as well with a 3.1. So you put all these together here, obviously it does look like this region of the southern end of the Cascadia is under quite a bit of strain now due to the activity here from yesterday. And again, the biggest one we've seen here was a 5.7 and a couple other 4s in there as well. Far as anything today specifically in this area, I'm not seeing it, at least not here on the map, but we did see some activity stir up here across this area that I said to watch for. But we'll continue to watch this area because there's potential out here. The southern end, or at least the southern half here of the Cascadia, is capable of producing some very large earthquakes. A full rupture, of course, would be much worse, but even a partial rupture out here would be up in the lower 8 magnitude range, and that would probably still create a tsunami across the region. And of course, the considerable damage that would be accompanied with a 8-pointer. So we'll continue to watch that there, folks. There's obviously a little concern here. Tremor activity has been acting kind of weird. Tremor meaning the slow slip events out here across the area of the Cascadia. In recent times here, over the past few years, we've noticed regular intervals of large tremor that occurs every few months or so. And since about the end of October, or since the end of 2022, October, we noticed the tremor amounts here go down, to where there's only a handful on any given day. So something tells me right there that things are fairly well locked out here, that something else is going on, because it's not acting normal in terms of the regular reoccurrence of intervals that we had seen in the years past. So we'll keep an eye on that. There's just these little clues that we have to watch for. Right now, no big earthquakes. It may happen today, may happen tomorrow, may be another 50 years from now, but still got to watch for these little signs. Obviously, this has been building up some steam since the 1700 time frame, so we're looking at 324 years of built-up strain, and it may be another 100 years before we see a full rupture out here, maybe, or it could be tomorrow. But the southern end of the Cascadia does see some ruptures on occasion compared to full ruptures. So we haven't really seen a partial rupture out here in a little while. Either way, any kind of rupture out there along the Cascadia would be not good news. Up into the Pacific Northwest here, looks like the majority of these are from yesterday. We did see one little earthquake up here around the La Grande area, about 19 kilometers for 1.0, but really nothing big going on. The rest of California here, one earthquake outside of the Concord area, 1.5. That looks like it's off of the Hayward fault. There's a couple other different fault systems that run through here that USGS is really not showing. But one little lonesome earthquake. Really haven't seen any elevated uptick out here across the rest of the state of California. Just, what do we got here? Another one popping up here? Or is this from... you guys see that? That wasn't there a minute ago. I know I'm not seeing things. But I was just talking about this 2.1 up here, and it looks like they threw in... a 1.8 there from yesterday at 2214. That would come in following the activity over here as well. So maybe there's a little bit more activity that has happened over here since the activity last night here that the USGS is slowly getting to, because that earthquake was not there. There's two here now, and I only seen one when I started this update. So magically an earthquake appears out here on the map that, and it's not red, meaning that it hasn't happened in the last hour. It happened last night, almost immediately following this activity over here. So we'll see how many more earthquakes they add up here on the globe, or on the flat scale model Earth. Because, it makes sense. A divergent zone, spreading seafloor sensor. Where's that pressure going to aim at? Look at these ridges right here. This is built up over strain. So obviously the strain's going to be in this region here of the Cascadia. All right, we'll move on here. Let's see what else is going on here across Southern California. A handful of earthquakes here across the, pretty close to the creeping segment of the San Andreas Fault. Just some very small microquake activity near Hollister. A couple twos and a couple ones. Nothing big going on. And Southern California in general is fairly quiet. Really not seeing a whole lot of activity out here today. Another little one near Mojave, 1.3. Up into the Pacific, or the Intermountain West areas, you got a little earthquake here outside the Great Salt Lake City area. 0.9, nothing big. Handful of earthquakes throughout Montana and Idaho. Yellowstone National Park, really not seeing anything showing up there. So let's go check it out, just to double check. Really not seeing anything. There's the 5.7 that occurred there in California, or just off the coast there of California and Oregon. Showed up pretty nicely. That's a distant earthquake reading. Of course, these seismograph stations will pick up earthquakes thousands of miles away. It even picks up, the larger ones halfway around the world. But right now, it looks like we got some more wind coming in. This is what I chat about here after the wind event goes away, because a lot of people asking, what is this reading that's showing up here? Well, let's go check it out. If you want to know, the best thing to do is go to the windy map and see what's going on here up across the Wyoming area. Go to wind gusts, because a lot of times these seismograph stations are up here exposed to the elements. We got wind gusts up around 40 miles per hour, so maybe locally higher across this area of Yellowstone National Park. And that's what we see chiming in here on these seismograph stations. This is not fluid movement. It's not magma movement. It definitely not of that sort. So wind occurring out there. I just always like to point that out when I see, a reading on a seismograph station that's not earthquake activity. But looking at earthquake activity locally here to Yellowstone, looks like maybe there was a little small one here. But aside from that, Yellowstone's pretty quiet. And I think that's a good thing for now. The rest of the country out here, small amount of earthquake activity scattered in your typical zones, Oklahoma and Texas, out in the oil fields. A 2.0 in the New Madrid seismic zone, kind of interesting there. Occasionally we do get some earthquakes out here. It's been a little bit, a couple days since we've seen any activity. Here's the last 30 days of earthquake activity out here. Again, this is a major seismically active hazardous area. Big time earthquakes can take place here. The last one back in the early 1800s or so. looking at the U.S. hazard map shows the outline of the New Madrid seismic zone. We learned about this in history back in grade school. But the potential is always there of seeing some future large damaging earthquakes. And of course, this area is highly developed compared to what it was, well over 100 years ago, 150 years ago or so. Almost like 200 years now, I would say. I think it was 1811, 1812, if I remember right. So we're looking at over 200 years. So a little bit of time has passed. So that means accumulation has built up out here. We're just living in those times here where everything seems easy, right? Everything's cool as far as geologically speaking. No volcanoes blowing up in our backyard. No huge earthquakes. But, that won't stay quiet for long. Back out of here, go back to the one-day map. A little earthquake outside the Elgin, South Carolina region. That occurred, looks like, late last night. A little 2.2. Nothing big. The Atlantic Ocean, pretty quiet. Nothing showing up here across the region. Far as the earthquake 3D globe goes, let's see what we got. South America area had a little earthquake activity today. It looks like a 5.0. It's going to be there in that white circle right here. 11 kilometers deep. Aside from that, deeper movement across the area into the Peru-Chile Trench down south here. Here's a deep one as well, 4.7. Underneath the Argentina area. So looking a little active out here today. The Middle America Trench about the same with 3s and 4s stirring up there. 2.9 coming in right now to California, it looks like. Let's see here. Well, that was at 10:34 a.m. And I think that's going to be the... well, where's the 2.9 at? Let's see here. I'm not seeing it. USGS not picking up on it. It looks like it's from the EMSC model. Let me double check that and see where that's at. 2.9 offshore northern. Oh, okay, I see where they have it positioned. That's going to be the one up north here, right about in this area. But USGS reporting that as a 3.1. EMSC throwing that up there as a 2.9. So take your pick. Either way, definitely still seeing some activity offshore there in our area of interest here today. All right, backing out of here, see what else we got. There's our big earthquake from yesterday, 6.4 in the just outside the Vanuatu area. Haven't really seen anything fill in here across the plate boundary. Excuse me. Switch of the weather here today. Go from nice 70-degree weather back down to 50 degrees outside for daytime high. It's a little chilly here for California standards at almost April. So a little gap here still exists between the 6.4 and the older activity here in Papua New Guinea that happened yesterday. So we'll continue to watch this area around the Solomon Islands. Again, that's going to be right about here. It's still lacking some earthquake activity over the last week or so. Normally this region will see a decent amount of earthquake activity, and it's kind of just closing in on this region. But noticing the larger activity here, jumping over this region to Papua New Guinea. Got to watch this area around Solomon Islands. I think it's probably fill in today. The Hawaii area, typical movement. I'm really not seeing any major change out there. Let me check the Kilauea volcano real quick. See if we got any changes going on. Just a real quick glance. The volcano still looks fairly stable in terms of the earthquake activity. Deformation chart still showing a stair-stepping ladder event here. That's inflation coming back up there around the summit area. Not a big amount, but it is slowly and gradually increasing there. As we can see, we lost a huge amount of magma from the summit area earlier back in early February. That has since somewhat recovered, but not quite at the level that it was. But we'll continue to watch that. Down in New Zealand, nothing showing up here on the map, but let's see what we got for the EMSC Model 3s. New Zealand seems to be the place for lots of 3s recently. A lot of deeper activity as well underneath this area. It does look like it's working its way across the plate boundary south into South Island. A lot of threes stirring up here. We'll continue to watch this area because it has been of interest here. A lot of deep activity in the region. Deeper activity normally will strain the areas upstream. We haven't really seen any large surface adjustment going on. I think the largest one was this earthquake here within the last week of 4.8. The GeoNet servers reported this as a 5.6. USGS of 4.8. So definitely seen some adjustment, but I don't think we're done yet. We're still seeing a lot of activity out here in the last 24 hours. Clustering going on in the typical zone out here, the crunch zone, so to speak, about Taiwan southward into the Philippines and the Indonesia Islands area, always under earthquake activity, it seems. A little bit of migration going on across the northern end of the Java Trench. That's going to be that 4.3 right here off the coast of Sumatra. Older movement quakes here out in the Japan area and the Kuril Kamchatka. Let's see what we got. I believe most of these are from yesterday. Got a handful of earthquakes out here, though. 2 up here, 2 down in the middle, and 2 further down. Looks like a split between yesterday and today. The latest one, though, shows a 4.5 up here at the northern end of the Aleutian Trench and the Kamchatka area. Nothing big going on, but still an area to watch because that's capable of producing some large earthquakes. The rest of the globe here, as you can see, Mediterranean seeing some 2s and 3s out there. Nothing of abnormal activity. Somebody mentioned about South America or Africa seeing some earthquake activity or some shaking out there around the let's see where that was at. Let me go back to the EMSC model. I thought they said around the Cape Town. I'm not seeing anything down there, though, but Johannesburg did see a little earthquake. Looks like that was from yesterday, a 3-pointer, but for the most part, really not a whole lot showing up there across the Africa region. Iceland. Let's go check out the Iceland area real quick, see if things are still, still in eruption stage. I'm sure they are. Let's double check, though. I'd like to get my visual view here for confirmation. It does look like there's one decent active vent here. Let's zoom out and see if these other 2 are active as well. Yep. Still fountaining quite a bit here. Trying to think if this has slowed down any from last night. I mean, it looks like maybe a little less in terms of the fountaining going on here. But these are still decent size eruptions going on there across Iceland. And there's at least 3 remaining active vents that continue to build new land out here with that lava field. Let's see if there's any recent update here from the Icelandic Met Office in terms of the ongoing activity. There we go. This was put out today, it looks like. The activity of the eruption has been stable for the last few days. Kind of talking about the gas distribution forecast. Activity there is still constant. That's kind of what we've been observing here. Turmoil. Yeah, this is the translated version here from Icelandic to English. So here's the latest map. Let's see what we got here for this. So this is the older lava flow. Doesn't look like they've that it's gone down south anymore. Of course, we've been watching a lot of the magma accumulate up on top of the older deposited lava here. And that's kind of looks like that's where it's occurring or remaining, which is good because we don't want to see this get anywhere close to the town area. But it does look like it's just kind of depositing on top of one another there. Let's see here. Really no change, it looks like. I mean, it's just typical SO2 emissions there from some of these the volcanic gases. Looks like there was a little spike there in sulfur dioxide, the SO2, up to about the 9,000 micrograms. So really no major change, it looks like, for now. I mean, just continuing to see this ongoing magma supply from the areas below up to the surface. Just kind of feeding the area. Earthquake activity today looks a little bit more active out here east of the region of interest right now, where our ongoing eruption is taking place. A little swarm going on here. So still seeing some divergent activity. I think this will continue for a little while as long as we see that supply coming in from the areas below. Definitely an interesting eruption event. All right, let's check out some space weather. See what's going on out here. I know we're losing a couple big sunspots. 3615 and 3614 are much further out here on the western limb now. Still quite capable of producing some X-flare activity. That was a giant sunspot, and definitely one to remember. It threw out probably, I don't know how many M flares, probably 25 or 30 M flares over the last few days. The X-flare culprit and the large CME was from this region up here. But it looks like that's starting to decay. We're left with a whole lot of nothingness, at least here in the center disk of the sun. This one here, though, still capable of producing some X-flare activity. And with this position, it's still capable of being geo-effective in terms of the radiation storm. Although if we get a CME from here, hard to say if we'd get any type of effect from it, possibly. But we'll continue to watch this large area. For some space weather events here, overall threat, 99% chance for a C-flare, M-flare 75% chance, X-flare still elevated at about 25% chance because of the 3615 there, very complex sunspot. No major auroras in the forecast, no major solar storms in the forecast for now, and the current aurora forecast looks very minimal. There's a looks like something going on the southeastern limb of the sun out there. Maybe some type of prominence eruption, it looks like, out here. Either way, we'll continue to watch this beautiful star, and hopefully we'll get to see it be eclipse here on the 8th. We'll check out the cloud cover here in a second. Cloud cover forecast, anyway. As far as severe weather, there's not a whole lot going on here in the forecast for now. We do have some just general thunderstorm activity across portions of the southeast and a little bit there in Texas. But for the most part, things are looking, not too bad out there. Numerical models. Here's the long-term models forecasted by the GFS model. We'll put this into motion, and we're going to run to about the April 8th time period. That's going to be Thursday night, right? Or not Thursday, excuse me, Sunday night, right here for the eclipse, which is going to take place that Monday. And that's going to be right. Oh, that looks worse today, actually. That's going to be for about the time period of the eclipse, in between 12Z and 18Z. Now, that does not look good. We do have some type of system coming in here. It does look like it clears up a little bit there in western Texas, but a lot of times when we get those storms popping off, it leaves behind a lot of cloud cover anyway, low-level moisture. So we'll continue to watch that, but this isn't good in terms of the eclipse line. The totality line stretches up here, and it kind of looks like that's where the a lot of the cloud cover and rain will be. Another forecast model. Let me go over here and check this out real quick. See if these guys have updated yet. GFS, average cloud cover, and I'm trying to think if this is the one from last night or not. Let's go to the 8th time period. That's going to be roughly about here. There's that storm and the rain I was showing you guys there in Texas area. It does look like it wants to clear out, right about the time as the eclipse would be happening. That's good. That's potential. But look at this area across this region. That's a lot of cloud cover. That would mean West Texas would be the spot to be for the eclipse. That's where I plan on being anyway. Again, we'll have to watch that. There's just a little window of opportunity, it looks like, between that storm and the next storm there a little bit later on that evening. Either way, we'll continue to watch it. It's a ways out there still, right? And take these weather models and put 100% faith and trust in them this far out would probably not be good. But we'll continue to check these runs and see how they look with each update. But right now, it's pretty close for western Texas. If this is the case here for the rest of the area, nobody is going to have a good day or at least a enjoyable eclipse moment with this much cloud cover unless you're out in West Texas. I can only imagine, though, the amount of people fleeing out here to West Texas to catch that eclipse. That would be a little chaotic. But if that's what needs to take place, to see the eclipse, and that's what needs to take place. We'll check it. We'll check back on it, though, folks. All right, let's see. Anything else going on here? Seismograph stations look pretty calm. Not seeing any, not too much earthquake activity. There's a little spikiness going on there in Barrett. That's down here across Southern California. Really not seeing anything showing up here, but looks like there is on the seismograph. Some smaller quake activity up north here. But doesn't look like anything of concern. But we'll continue to watch this area up here, folks. Keep an eye on the Northern California area, southern end of the Cascadia. And we'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later. I got quite a few exams to do today, midterm exams, and quite a few lectures to complete. So catch you guys back out here later tonight, unless something major happens between then. Enjoy your Wednesday. We'll catch you guys later. Stay safe.